Matt, I'm actually really excited we're having this opportunity to get to talk together. Clearly, on this video, you are the most orange of the two of us. Where did you find that outfit?
Oh, we actually have ones even more orange than this. But I wore this for our opening day. Our secretary surprised me on my birthday with this nice, beautiful orange suit. It's got orange pants too, which I won't stand up and overwhelm anybody. But yeah, we really leaned into it. We had the orange frog in costume. We had the orange suit, and it was a really positive experience. It was a great welcome back for our staff. So it's something we take a little bit of joy in having me dress up, if you will.
Well, not only are you wearing a lot of orange and you have clearly leaned into being orange, but you're also one of the brightest champions of positive psychology in schools. And so I'm so grateful to have this opportunity to get to talk to you to hear how you feel like Orange Frog has been helpful for schools.
Yeah, for us, we're a relatively small rural school, and what we've done, and we know we're a hub of the community. We're one of the largest employers, and we understand that not only do we impact our students and our staff, but also our community. So on one of those first days of school, I gave the opening day speech like every other superintendent across the country, and then we actually did joy drops and joy bombs out with our community. So we try to spread that positivity not only here for the hope and optimism for our students, our current students, but we get that all throughout our entire local community.
So were you orange and positive before you got connected to Orange Frog?
I think it definitely changed my thought process. I was a coach growing up and an athlete. Sports movies I always loved because it always worked out in the end. So I think the optimism. I equate happiness with optimism. I equate happiness with hope. I don't know how orange I was before, but now it's all about phrasing things and thinking about different ideas in that mindset. And I'm seeing that from my staff, my colleagues. My daughter's a student in this school. She's very orange as well. So a story with my daughter, she broke her foot 2 days before going on a cruise, and for months and months and months beforehand, she had talked about zip lining. Like that's all she wanted to do. She just wanted to zip line. She goes to the doctor. Actually, I was down visiting you in Texas during this time. And she called and says, "Hey, Dad, I got great news. I broke my foot." She starts with, "Wait, great news." So I listened to her. She says, "I broke my foot. I have to wear a boot. I can't go zip lining, but I still get to go." And I was like, "Oh, that's great. I'm proud of you. I'm happy." Like, "Are you disappointed? Like, what's your thought?" She goes, "Dad, I just went through the Orange Frog training. I'm all orange now. I only see the positive in things." So I was like, well, the whole training district wide was worth it just for that conversation with my
Right. Amazing. Clearly, you've done something right as a parent, but also she's absorbed that research, and it's very difficult oftentimes to get people to change their lens, and for her to be able to own that even when she's injured, it's just incredible. And that's part of the what I would love to understand more from you is how does it you as a superintendent, you're in charge of so many types of things. You're in charge of the financials and the legal and just getting people together in the community. So when a superintendent or leaders of schools look at something like the Orange Frog, how do they know that something like positive psychology is something that they should prioritize? How does positive psychology help in the schools?
Yeah, when superintendents, we have very large jobs, very diverse jobs. When I originally looked at positive psychology and I read the Happiness Advantage, it's not an extra thing. That's something that educators and leaders get dinged on quite a bit. Is, oh, it's one more thing on our plate. It's one more initiative that'll be gone in 2 years. With positive psychology, it's a way to improve your thought process. It's a way to improve your systems. It's a way to improve change management. We most recently did a full strategic plan, a 5-year strategic plan, and we infused the Orange Frog principles and the positive psychology principles right into that plan. We have them bullet point by bullet point, not only what changes we're going to make and how they're going to benefit our students, but how do we celebrate successes? How do we frame it so that our community understands that this isn't one more thing. This is the thing. This is the backbone of all of our changes, and this is the backbone of our improvements.
I think one of the hardest things for people to realize is that this is going to take longer than they expected. We want something that happens very quickly that can change everyone. We want a shower that'll keep us clean, and then we don't have to shower again for a whole year. That's our hope for how change happens in schools. And what I love is that you've, from the outset, realized that this is a journey and that this is going to take time to be able to do. How do you convince superintendents that it's worthwhile to look at this in the long term and that this is going to be valuable long term?
Yeah, I think the piece that convinces the most people about the importance of the Orange Frog principles is that it impacts everyone. If we talk about implementing a UPK to 2 reading program, that'll have an impact on people moving forward. But for right now, it may be 2, 3, 4 grade levels. So with the Orange Frog principles, we see it with our staff. We see it with our bus drivers, our cafeteria staff, our teachers, TAs. Like I said, we've infused this with our community. We instituted 6th grade Orange Frog ambassadors. So it's a small group of kids that goes and they teach those that are younger than them on the Orange Frog principles from a kid's perspective. So what we've been able to see is you can impact a lot of people and their thought processes, and then that ripples out to so many more. A lot of times with initiatives, it will take 5, 10, 15 years to really see the impact. For us, when we see the impact in one individual, you see that spread so quickly. So that's been one of the largest positive focuses of our movement towards the Orange Frog. We've even incorporated, we're the Lions. How unique is that?
Yeah.
But we incorporated the Spark the Orange Frog with our lion, and they've gone out to Peppermint Days, which is our big event in the summer. We have signs that are in yards with both of their faces on that. It says "Restore the Roar." So we've found ways to infuse the positive psychology and the Orange Frog principles into our daily action. So that's how we've seen a major positive impact immediately. And then once people see something positive, they run down that road and they're willing to take that risk.
So what I hear you saying is that the Orange Frog is not a replacement of the other positive programs that you've been doing as a school, but it's a way of tying them together and augmenting those so that the power becomes even stronger and the effect becomes even brighter. You're talking about not only mindset change, but action change that's occurring within inside these schools that ripples out to other people. But one of the things that we've seen that's been such a challenge for schools, my mom was a high school English teacher for 30 years in a public school. My father was an educator as well. And I saw with them and with the students and with their administrators, this burnout and stress that seems to have ramped up even more. How would you say that the Orange Frog deals with things like burnout and stress and that you can quantify changes to those areas?
Yeah, burnout and stress is very difficult in a lot of professions. Coming off of COVID, especially in education, we're seeing that significantly play out with our staff. So for us, the burnout and stress, a lot of times, we've heard people talk about what is your why or what is important to you. For us, as educators, you see students walk in the door every single day. So it's pretty clear why we're all here. When you can see students, like students will say the wildest things when they talk about optimism, they talk about hope, they talk about positivity and how much it means to them. Coming from some of the difficult backgrounds of our students, it rephrases that lens for our staff that it is a difficult job. If it wasn't difficult, then it wouldn't be as important as it is. So it's the change in lens of, I know this is tough. I know we're coming off a pandemic. I know education is a difficult field right now, but it needs me as much as I need it. So it's changed the lens that our staff has seen themselves in and their work. So that positive thought process has really moved us forward.
Matt, can you describe the work with H360 and how that's had an impact upon the culture and your staff there?
So H360 is a program that we've implemented that has been extremely impactful for us. So H360, just like any other program or opening day speech, positive psychology principles, as important as they are, sometimes you're 2 weeks along in the school year and you're kind of back to your old ways. For us, what H360 has done is provided that program, provided that system that our staff can use to anchor them in the positive psychology principles along with our students. So what we've done, and we've really implemented this UPK through 10, is we have a what I need now time period in our block scheduling, and we implement a daily lesson on the positive psychology principles through H360. So, for instance, we had a group of young ladies that came down and sang for us when they talked about gratitude. So they talked about the gratitude that that one of the students was relatively new to our district, and she made a song about how much she felt welcomed in our school and shared that out. So not only did the student get to express themselves, but those that helped welcome her to our district felt that gratitude and reinforced those principles as the new students keep coming in. So H360 for us has really been a way to ground the work and continue it day after day. Our elementary school students, they have a whole different philosophy. They wrote to our fire department thanking them. And then the fire department came out and the kids got to wear the big suits and the hats and everything. So it's H360, one of my favorite pieces of H360. It's developed in a way that students can use it at the elementary level, the middle level, and the high school level, and have a strong impact on their future.
Matt, I love how you've brought this research to life and that you've let other people own it as well inside the organization. That really creates that long term culture change that you're talking about. So tell me, you're talking to a superintendent that's overwhelmed, that has budget constraints, their staff is feeling burnout and stress, they're getting flack from the parents, and they have requirements that they're supposed to meet academically for their students. What would you tell them as they look at this mountain of trying to create culture change about why they should just try the Orange Frog and where should they start?
Yeah, if I were to speak to a superintendent about their decision to partner with the Orange Frog workshop, the Orange Frog processes, what I would really say is everything you're doing now will be that much easier moving forward. So change is hard, but it's necessary. Education looks far different than it did 5 years ago. It's going to look far different 5 years from now. So to take it in an optimistic, hopeful way, it allows people to really rally around that unified thought of we can do this together by working hand in hand and working at a positive lens, assuming that we're going to move forward to meet the needs of our students. It makes the change bearable. It makes it possible. It makes it almost a foregone conclusion that everyone pulling in the same direction makes change so much easier. So for me, we're relatively new in the process, but I think I went out for a coffee this morning to a local bakery, and that bakery this summer made little cupcakes with orange frogs on the top of it. So it really, when people say a culture change, sometimes I think they think that's a week or a month or a cool video. For us, Orange Frog has changed the culture of not only our staff and our district, but also throughout our community. We're seeing community members that are volunteering for committees and coming up with solutions to problems before we even know the problem exists. So if I had to speak to a superintendent about the potential of the Happiness Advantage and the Orange Frog workshops, what I would say is give it a chance, and you certainly won't be disappointed.
Matt, I mentioned that my mom was a public school, high school English teacher for 30 years. And when I first started bringing positive psychology and the Orange Frog into the schools, her very first comment was, "Don't waste the teacher's time." I was like, thanks, mom. But she saw so many programs come through that felt like a flavor of the month or the year that just wasted her time when she was trying so hard to just be there for the students and be able to keep up her energy as well. And I think the tipping point, both for my mom and for these schools we've worked with, is that we've been able to quantify the results. We've been able to show how we've been able to raise the long-term academic achievement scores. We've been able to drop depression rates. So that we've been able to track disciplinary actions and absenteeism and turnover rates. All these things that are data and fuel for those administrators that have to make these tough decisions. But hearing your stories, Matt, about the culture change, what is so amazing about it is that it's so organic and it makes my job so difficult. It's very difficult for us to test things like a bakery that makes orange cupcakes and orange cookies and the effect. It would be a delicious study for sure. But being able to show people this change, I think, starts with the data. But then from there, it takes on a life of its own that you hear these incredible anecdotes that when we've worked with superintendents before, they've talked about this their entire career and even after their career as well. So I just want to thank you so much for all this incredible work that you're doing to bring this to life, and I hope other schools follow you as well.
You. I appreciate it. It's been we don't think about change initiative as fun, but really infusing the orange frog has made it fun. And I think that I can speak for our entire district, including our students, that this is something that will continue long into the future.